Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Selfless Little Gaming. We are live. We are here coming at you with some hot topics. You all know me, Selfless_gaming. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Uber. Pretty sure one day I'll be in the White House. You know, it's just a matter of time. I got my boy Little Jacob with me. Little Jacob, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Little Jacob, that's little with a 3 instead of an E. You also find me on TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook as well. We use that platform. Feel free to reach out on me there. Definitely do not mind responding to comments. I hope everyone's doing good. And looking forward to a great upcoming off-season draft with the NFL and a lot of things going on in the NBA. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening in the real world, or I should say outside of sports, that is now affecting sports or will in the future, as far as things like COVID and what else that they got going on out there.
Before we get diving into all of this, one of the big things that we're going to try to start to transition to is obviously we're going to continue to talk about NFL. That's kind of like where our main focus has been for a while. There is going to be more of a transitional period, though. We're really starting to get into basketball. I think next episode, I'm going to try to get set up on the screen a bracket for us, so that way we can actually go through and do our own brackets. I'm going to try to work on that, figure that out. Because this week you got your pretty much like the end of the regular season for college basketball. You got your conference tournaments, and then your seeding and stuff is going to start, and then we're into March Madness, baby. So hopefully next week I'll be able to have that done. Would you want to try to possibly do the podcast on Tuesday or Wednesday next week? Because usually the games, first round of the game, start on Thursday. That way we can get like our bracket and stuff done. Like, would you be all right with trying to move that up?
Yeah, we would be able to do that.
Okay, dope. Because I know like you'll be in the office instead, and that's what I was asking. Like, want to make sure it won't be too much of a conflict for you. And if we have to do it later at night, we got to do it later at night. If you're fine with that.
Yeah, that should be good.
All right, dope. So starting off, we'll get right back into the NFL. There's been some developments with like the combine. You got some of your positions and stuff starting to go right now. We talked about it a little bit last week. The combine is definitely one of those tools where it allows players the opportunity to showcase their skills that maybe have not been showcased throughout the year due to the conference they may have been in, the platform that they may have had access to. Every year you always got one of those guys that just breaks out of nowhere, and it's like, holy crap, where was this guy at? And then you find out he's playing out in the Mountain West Conference that doesn't get a ton of coverage. Okay. So that is currently underway as we speak. I'm trying to see if the position skills have been listed. Somebody has gone today. But this is also too where you kind of get more access to the kids from their interview side of things, where they'll actually get from the camera a lot, interview. You kind of see how they can handle questions, obviously the maturity of it too, of them. But one of the biggest breaking things with the NFL recently is they have agreed, players, owners have agreed to start to halt the COVID-19 protocols. It kind of seems like across the country we're moving in a direction where we're starting to really lift these restrictions, which is a good thing. Hopefully when they're lifted, we can keep them lifted. Yeah. But you got anything new developing with the NFL, Little Jacob?
I know right now, I think there's some things about Kyler Murray and just kind of being more vocal about what he wants to feel like Arizona is committed to him and being on the football team. Looks like the way that with the statement that Murray made, basically he wants a long-term extension or he wants out. If Arizona doesn't commit to not only giving him a big contract, but a long-term contract that he doesn't even want to bother at this point. And it kind of feels like, especially with how good the season started for them last year, and we talked about a little bit last time, how well the season started with them and how it declined. It kind of feels like if anything, like maybe it's the chemistry going on with the coaching and the ownership there and the staff and him, that maybe he's not feeling that he's valued enough anymore for that football team.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, definitely he is one of the most valuable players on the team. Yeah, you still have DeAndre Hopkins, you have JJ Watt, and a couple other really good pieces that they have on that defense. But at the end of the day, the main guy, is Kyler Murray. I think I saw something about he wanted something like 80 million or something, which is a huge contract, even for him. Right now, the thing is, though, there's just so much uncertainty and availability when it comes to quarterbacks in the league, right now. I mean, you talk about guys like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, where are they going to end up? Even though that's, Aaron Rodgers wants a lot of money, Kyler Murray wants a lot of money. Then there's a whole situation with Deshaun Murray possibly getting into a trade because, I mean, regardless of what's going on with him legally, he technically doesn't have anything preventing him from playing besides the fact that he doesn't want to play for the Texans.
Yeah.
And the Texans are not going to play him. So, they can't force him to play. So there's a lot of uncertainty. There's like a lot of clouded future for teams and quarterbacks right now. But I think Kyler Murray, it might just serve him well to test the market and see where he can end up and most likely end up being on a better team. I don't see any reason. I mean, if you look at what's available, out of the four names that I mentioned, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, as good as Aaron Rodgers has been during the regular season, because of his age, now his lack of mobility and just kind of some of the things that he can no longer do, or at least do very well or consistently, I think you would have to go with one of the younger options out of those guys. I mean, me personally, if you want experience, but also some, still somebody who can really move well, you probably want to go with Russell Wilson for sure. And that's just my opinion, but you couldn't go wrong with Kyler Murray or even a young Deshaun Watson. He hasn't played in the season, but I don't think that takes away a lot from him. So that's what's going on. Those are probably the biggest names as far as quarterbacks go, coming up in the free agency. Aaron Rodgers himself is kind of in a similar situation with the Packers. He wants a large sum of money.
Yeah.
He wants to be basically the highest paid quarterback, who still hasn't won, who has only won one Super Bowl in 10 years, basically, is what he wants.
Yeah, he wants like something stupid, like 50 million or something like that, man. And
yeah.
And here's my thing with that whole situation. Okay, me and my buddies, we talked about it in our fantasy football league chat, and I saw that article, put it out there, and I said, "This dude's a joke. I'm gonna stick by my word. The dude's a joke." Is he a great player? 100% a great player. The guy is outstanding. He knows how to take care of the football. He can definitely win you games. But I said, you can keep your regular season stats. You've even brought it up, you can be regular season MVP all you want, but if you're not winning a Super Bowl at the end of the year, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And I said, the way I see it is back in 2018, he got I think it was $120 million or $130 million contract extension to stay with the Packers. And basically, I broke it down, okay? And I said, since 2018, if they would have paid him roughly half of that, then the rest of the years, you save up money and you can allocate more players, better players, through free agency, through trades, whatever, to get him a better quality team. The dude probably gets over the hump of the NFC championship games and doesn't fall short and goes to Super Bowl. Absolutely. You look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the GOAT when it comes to quarterbacks. The guy literally has proven his point. The guy has the most Super Bowl wins. The guy has not had the most talented rosters and won the Super Bowl. But when you really look at it, the guy's also probably barely in the top 10 for paid quarterbacks. The guy's never been the number one highest paid quarterback in the league, but that frees up money to get better players for him to have on the team. It gives
Yeah.
him the option to have more weapons. So it's like I told them, because we got some Packers fans in there, we got some Aaron Rodgers fans in there, and I said, dude, like if y'all want to pay him that, that's fine. Go ahead and pay the guy. I was like, but don't complain at the end of the year when you're talking about like, man, if we only had some more talent on our team, or we had a couple other guys that were like, top 15, top 20 wide receivers in the league that could help him out and Devontae Adams out. It's like, well, you could if you didn't pay him a quarter of your whole team's salary, like, and to me, that's not worth that investment. Like the guy has won MVPs. That's great. That's great for him. What has it done for the Packers though? It's given you multiple number one seeds for the playoffs that you have not gone to the Super Bowl. So
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So to me, it's like the guy continues to put you in a good position, but he also continues to choke and fail when it comes down to like the game he has to win to get to the Super Bowl. Can't do it. So I don't know. That's my whole thing with the Aaron Rodgers situation. I don't have an issue with Aaron Rodgers at all. The reason I say he's a joke is just because of the way he conducts himself. Yeah, I think he's full of drama. I don't think like the Packers are the issue. I think he has created a lot of issues. And I think honestly the reason he's created a lot of those issues is because he is that good. Like he's one of those guys where it's like, yeah, the guy is that good. He wants this amount of money. He wants this type of stuff. We got to try to keep him happy because he definitely wins games for us. But to me, and this is just me personally, I don't know, man. That stuff seems to be toxic. Seems to have a cancerous type environment in the locker room, off the field. And I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a great investment if you're willing to put that much money into one guy, because we can kind of transition into this next topic. I reached out to like little Jacob earlier today, and I was at the gym. It was I think it was Tuesday, and I saw where the Bears were really talking about how this offseason they're going to try to go after the market and get some help for Justin Fields, because Justin Fields is basically expected to take over as quarterback next year. He's a young, talented guy. They don't really have a lot of key assets for him as far as like wide receiver, offensive line. And they were talking about like some of the big profile names that are out there that they could go and acquire to try to help him out next year. And you got Devontae Adams as a free agent. You got Amari Cooper as a free agent.
Yeah.
You got Chris Godwin as a free agent. So I don't know, man. Like the Packers, you want to throw a bunch of money at Aaron Rodgers, try to keep him there, may end up losing Devontae Adams in the process.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean,
good.
No, yeah, and absolutely. So let's just look at it like this, right? Aaron Rodgers is 38 years old. I wouldn't say he's necessarily at the end of his career particularly, but I mean, he is. I mean, not everybody can be Tom Brady and retire at 44. Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger struggled to barely get to 40 with barely any of his health.
Yeah.
If you just look at the longevity of a career, Devontae Adams is only 29. You're really going to invest in a guy that's maybe going to play 1 or 2 more seasons, give him a big chunk of money, take a cap hit, and then when he's gone, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because people got to remember, you have to have other players too. You got to pay other guys too. You can't just give a chunk of money away, because it's not like, oh, I'm going to have all this money next year. Because of the rules, because there's cap space, these are things that don't just affect the current year or even next year. It goes into the future. So yeah. I definitely think it would be a bad investment to keep Rodgers over Devontae Adams. You absolutely have to try to do everything to keep Devontae Adams, because he can still give you a good another 5, 6, 8 years if he stays healthy, Yeah. Versus Aaron Rodgers, that's only going to play so much longer, because it's a hard sport to play. It's a hard position to play. And again, he's almost 40, in reference to like Amari Cooper, the situation is basically he has 20 million due to him, fully guaranteed money. That's his money. Unless he takes a pay cut, we're feeling like unless he takes a pay cut that he might be released. But the thing is, that would be dumb about it to me. That if he doesn't take the pay cut and they release him, it's only going to do Cooper more of a benefit, because he's going to get $20 million. And then
Yeah.
get to test the free market, which he'd be a top 15 free agent for sure. He'd definitely be among the top receivers, like for someone like the Bears or anyone else that really needs a good receiver to join the football team. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I'm not sure what the deadline is for them to make that decision. I know free agency market starts in 11 more days on the 14th. So that is probably something they're going to be discussing with him within the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, they're going to ask him to take a pay cut or be released outright, according to Rappaport. And that he said that bringing Cooper back at his current salary is not something the Cowboys have considered. His production didn't match his salary in 2021, which like I was telling you earlier, I really don't feel like it's Cooper's fault. I don't feel, for some reason, I feel like as the season progressed, we didn't incorporate him in the game plan enough. Kellen Moore didn't incorporate him in the game plan enough, especially when he had such a great game against the Bucs, and it kind of just seemed like he dropped off after that. I'm not sure why. That's another subject about how I feel about Kellen Moore. But yeah, I mean, it's really going to depend the next 2 weeks of what Cooper decides he wants to do and what Dallas offers him to do. I know that they're going to have to restructure some kind of contracts, especially if you look at Dak and Zeke's contract, and if they want to keep some of these other guys that are on the team now, some big time players for us whose contracts are coming up. It's going to be, someone's going to have to give up money, be willing to, and that's the tough thing about having a franchise, about football teams. You want to keep teams together, but you need to be able to pay the right guys and also not, like we're talking about, shoot yourself in the foot and ruin your cap space for the future. So we'll definitely have to see how that goes. It could be worse. You could have your team breaking down kind of like the Giants are. They released Devontae Booker, who was a decent backup when Saquon was hurt, which he's usually always hurt. Saquon is, they're listening to trade offers for him. They're saying, look, who can we get for the Saquon Barkley at this point? Unfortunately, he just doesn't hold up enough to make it of much of a value for when he first got in the league. He's great when he's healthy, but that's the problem. He can't stay healthy. We've talked about that.
Well, and part of that issue though too is like, I don't know, man. Like I'm torn because like I'm thinking like fantasy wise, like if he went somewhere that actually had like a good offensive line, I may reinvest in him in fantasy. But like where he's been with the Giants, it's like, what have the Giants really done to provide for him though? Like their offensive line's been terrible for the past like 6-7 years now. You know? So like the guy can only do so much. Oh, but I don't know. Free agency is going to be very interesting, for sure.
Javaris Landry is another receiver that
he's on the market. Yep,
he's probably gonna be on the market because he's not going to take a pay cut.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't blame these guys. I mean, they know what they're capable of. They know their value. We've seen what they can do, and the NFL is still a business. So guys need to make their money. So I understand the business aspect of it, even if I don't always agree with how it's carried out.
I could kind of see that, like Cedric Wilson, Michael Gallup. I could kind of see those guys being released or traded to improve cap space and try to keep Amari. I could see that. Like that would not surprise me if that moved.
Yeah, and that's something that we're talking about too early in the year, about Michael Gallup. This might be his last season with us. I hate to see him go, but like I said, it's just a business, and with cap space, and we need to prioritize the guy. We're definitely not letting go of CeeDee Lamb like ever. I hope not ever. And Amari Cooper is still that guy. Like I said, it's just about a matter of incorporating more. So yeah, I could see that as well, and making that sacrifice to keep Amari on the team. Another interesting player to see how it plans out is Jimmy Garoppolo. I know he's getting shoulder surgery. He's going to be rehabbing most of the offseason, which is no big deal, but we don't know. And then, of course, John Lynch, the GM, 49ers, basically is saying, hey, we're willing to list the offers for Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm guessing they're going to want to go forward with Trey Lance and try to get him to be, the new guy out there.
I think, honestly, with Trey Lance, like having this year to learn and study, the dude is athletic. Like he's
Yeah.
athletic. He's got a good arm. I wouldn't put him on like the same tier as Lamar Jackson as far as like his athleticism. But he is like, man, who can I like relate him to? I would categorize him like very much like Russell Wilson. Like the guy can scramble. He can definitely cause you issues with his feet. But he's very accurate with the ball. He was very accurate with the ball in college. We haven't really seen him all that much in the NFL. But you think of what they got with Deebo Samuel, the running backs, the defense they got, and everything. Like, man, that guy, you could really implement him in that offense. And depending on what they get in the draft this year, like, 49ers offense could actually be pretty scary next year, depending on what they come through with. Which today for the combine is actually like quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends is who's going live right now. I've already started to talk about Kyle Pickett, quarterback, and his hand size. Like he'll have the smallest hands recorded in the NFL. And then I was like reading through this stuff. I was hearing this stuff, and I was like, bro, like the guy clearly showed in college the ball's not that much different in the NFL to college that he can sling the rock. And I remember Joe Burrow said that they were like talking about his hands only being like 9 inches and how the ball will slip out of his hands a lot and all this stuff. And he posted on Twitter when they were talking about that like last year or 2 years ago. He's like, well, hell, I might as well go ahead and retire from the NFL then if they're concerned about my hand size, you know, like, and the dude's been in a Super Bowl. So it's just funny, like what these analysts and people come up with sometimes, man. They gotta find something to criticize you on, you know. Gotta find something.
Yeah, so there just like a quick little update on the combine. There's a couple of events going down. I think right now they've only gotten through a couple of I think the tight end and receiver groups right now.
And quarterbacks, yeah.
Yeah, but man, one of the guys here, I think how I say his name, Jelani Woods from Virginia, put up 24 reps, baby. That's what's up. That's so
pretty
standard.
Good.
I think standard is what 225, right? Every time they go at the bench 225 and they try to knock it out 24 reps. That's pretty it's a strong dude right there. That's a pretty crazy amount. I wish I could do at least. I mean, I wish I could do like 15 reps. 24. That's he's pumping it out there. So there's that, and then the 40-yard dash. Man, that's crazy. The guy runs a 4.6 too. He ran a 4.6, 4.61. A guy that strong run that fast, that's going to be scary in the NFL for somebody. As long as he can catch, he'll be all right.
Yeah,
catch and block, he'll be all right. Speaking of tight ends, Dallas really needs to look at getting another tight end because Dalton Schultz is going to want some money. I hope we keep him. Blake Jarwin, I think he might be done, man, because he got a hip surgery that is, quote, uncommon for an active NFL player. And he is not going to be available for the start of 2022. So, you know, sometimes
they say what it was.
No, actually, I didn't even realize that he needed hip surgery until I kind of read about it. I can pull it up here, the article, to see what it says. But yeah, it says he's likely to miss because of that hip surgery. He only played. Oh, 1 second here. He only played 7 games last year before went on injury reserve because of the hip injury. I remember that. I didn't know he's gonna need surgery though. He played just 1 game in 2020. He tore his ACL, so he was a good player. He just keeps getting hurt.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that hip surgery is pretty serious. Hopefully, it's not something that affects him for like his life because you know it's hip surgery. It might be one of those things where you might have to stop playing football. Hopefully, not for him.
Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah, he might not be on Dallas anymore. So I hope we look at drafting a tight end at some point. So we'll see how that goes for sure.
Is there anything else you want to cover with the NFL before we move on?
I think that's mostly about it. We'll definitely have more once more of the combine goes down and some of the draft values change, and maybe there'll be some movement. We're really not going to get a lot of movement until like free agency starts, but yeah, no, we'll be good on NFL.
Big fight this weekend. Talk about a brawl to settle it all, man. You got Covington versus Masvidal. And dude, you talk about two guys that like to just get after it. And like, this is definitely one of those fights. It's not going to a decision. These guys are gonna definitely just get after each other. They're gonna they're gonna make sure that what you paid for is definitely gonna be like received as far as entertainment value.
Oh yeah.
But it's Saturday. This Saturday, pay-per-view. Colby Covington is 16-3. Masvidal is 35-15. Who do you like in this one?
You know, I'm definitely liking Masvidal in this one. I mean, I think that this, after coming off the loss that he came from, I know he's really going to be coming out swinging. Fun fact for people who don't know, they actually used to be friends, trained in the same gym, trained together. But you know, that just turned to bad blood. And these guys, like you said, they're really out there to hurt one or the other. You know, Masvidal, they're pretty much really similar in the size. They're both 5'11". The reach is only 2 inches apart, with Masvidal at 74. The leg reach is a little bit further for Covington. I will say this: more often, Masvidal has won by knockout than Covington. Masvidal is more of a brawler. Covington does have the submission ability, so if he gets him on the ground, that's not where Masvidal wants to be, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see the pace. One of my friends who thinks that Covington might be able to take over the fight because he does try to keep a high pace, a high striking pace, and might really take it to Masvidal like that. But the thing with George Masvidal is that he can knock you out with either hand. He just has so much power. So taking it to him the whole time would be probably to a disadvantage, possibly, if he gets a good strike in there. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I think that maybe Covington would be better off trying to get him to the ground or getting him in the clinch, and that might give him more of an advantage in that kind of a situation. I mean, Masvidal just gets more strikes landed per minute, more significant strikes. I mean, the difference in that, there's 38% and 48%, with Masvidal having 48% significant strikes. And what that means for people who don't know, I mean, this is a strike that is not only landing cleanly, but is clearly doing damage or hurting the other person in some way. So that's a big difference when one guy makes a lot more significant strikes than another. So we'll definitely have to see how that plays out. They both absorb pretty much about the same strikes per minute, which is a lot. It's like 3 a minute. This is going to be a tough as nails fight. I'm excited. I'm hoping, of course, it doesn't go to a decision, but I'm also hoping that it lasts enough to, you know, to kind of get that build up, because there's going to be a lot of fights that night.
Yeah. I think, honestly, man, the only thing I'm concerned with is Masvidal's chin. Because think of, and I mean, for those of you who know UFC, y'all know this legend, freaking Chuck Liddell. Okay, that's throwing it back. All right. But Chuck Liddell used to be one of those guys who Masvidal reminds me a lot of him. Would go in. He had a really good takedown defense. He didn't like to be on the ground, but he could get up from the ground, liked being on his feet. He was one of those guys that no matter where he struck you from, he could knock you out. The problem with that, though, is he also took a lot of punishment, too. Like, he'd get hit in the face, just keep pushing forward. And then when Chuck Liddell started getting knocked out, all of a sudden it turned in from him being able to move forward and keep going after stuff to all of a sudden now he had a glass chin. Sometimes with those guys, they just seem to like get to a point where they can take punishment, get in, do what they want to do, but then it's like they get knocked out. And then all of a sudden they get knocked out again, and it's like now it becomes a lot easier for them to get knocked out because they've taken so much punishment. And I believe Masvidal's last few fights, he's definitely gotten his bell rung several times. So it'd be interesting to see where this fight actually ends up going and how it plays out, because Colby Covington is one of those guys that can take punishment too. But he can definitely give it out. So I don't know. It's either going to be one of those where it's going to end rather quickly in like the first round, or it's going to be one of those where they're just like absolutely just slugging each other all night for 5 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, Colby Covington, yeah, as much as I'm not a fan of his, he's a tough son of a gun, I'll tell you what. I mean, the dude fought with a broken jaw.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's one of those fights where you have to try and get him down, or at least hurt early, because he's just gonna keep coming. And as the rounds progress, as it gets later, he's a dog. He's gonna keep fighting, and it kind of starts to kind of impose his will on you. I would say, because you start thinking, man, I've hit this guy with everything I've got, like in the face.
He just keeps coming,
and he's still coming. Like it's not enough, and he's just one of those fighters that is very dangerous. As good as Masvidal is, it's still a very dangerous fight for him. Especially with the kind of pace he tries to keep up with.
One guy that I'm actually interested in watching, it's a welterweight, is Kevin Holland versus Alex Oliveira.
Yeah,
Oliveira. Sure. Kevin Holland is 21-7 right now. He is like, I think he's kind of like up and coming. Like he's definitely making his name more and more known throughout the UFC.
Yeah.
He has an 81-inch reach at 170 pounds. Fights unorthodox, but his significant strike accuracy is 70%, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like the dude can land shots. He lands them often. And his like sometimes when you see those guys who land shots and like to stand on their feet, their takedown's not very good. But the thing is too is his takedown accuracy is 45%. So pretty much like almost he tries to take you down twice, he's getting you down one out of the two times, pretty much. Yeah. And he has pretty good submission defense, or like submission advantage as well, at like 0.54, which is pretty good. Definitely pretty good. But his takedown advantage and stuff, like it's pretty significant to see someone's takedown accuracy be that way with his striking being so high. Because Alex's significant strike accuracy is only 58%. So, which is still pretty good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still pretty good, but I think that's going to be a really good technical fight. Like, I'm very interested to see how that fight plays out for both those guys. And then you have Sergey Spivak, I think is how you say his last name, fighting Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
Bro, Greg Hardy, like, I don't know, man. He came in there. He's already had a lot of controversy as it is.
Yeah.
The dude though, like when he's come in prepared, ready to fight and go, like the dude seems like a monster. It's like, holy hell, like this guy's a beast. But then he comes in some of those times and he kind of reminds me of the guy, what was the one guy who came in? He used to be a heavyweight, had long hair, big beard, huge gut, bro. Like,
it's kind of like, I think maybe, is it Roy Nelson?
Yeah, Roy Nelson. He kind of reminds me of Roy Nelson in the fact, but he's just in better shape. Like, you never know what you're getting with this guy. Yeah. But the guy's like tough as nails. He'll come after you. He's either going to get smashed or he's going to be able to actually, like, you know, put out punishment on somebody. But that was the thing with Roy Nelson, man. And I just remember, like, Joe Rogan used to say, like, if he would actually get with a trainer and with a like nutritionist that would work on his diet, like he could have been one of the best heavyweights there was. But the guy literally just liked to eat cheeseburgers and drink beer all day, you know, and then do jiu-jitsu and box. Like that was his thing. Yeah.
It only gets you so far.
And but like that was the thing with him. But like Greg Hardy, he's had like the whole inhaler incident, where like he was going over and he was hitting stuff during the match, and like that was considered like performance enhancing. Like can't do that.
Yeah.
And so he's had like a lot of controversy with that.
Need somebody in the head while they were
on the ground. Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I don't know if it's his personality. I mean, we can talk all day about his issues in the NFL. And
yeah, that's the thing. Like it seems like he's a great athlete. Like you can't take away his athleticism. But the guy can't get out of his own way. Yeah. He literally can't get out of his own way.
I mean, this is a fight that he has the potential to dominate. I mean, he's much bigger than this other dude, Sergey. He's much bigger. He's 289 pounds. Sergey's like almost half that, pretty much half that, 248, 6'5", only 2 inch more reach, but he's definitely the bigger dude. So it's a matter of how well he's trained, how well he's taking care of himself. and how well he's got his technical stuff down. Because most of the fights he has won have mostly all been knockouts. So
Yeah.
he has a lot of power. So
which the Sergey guy, his takedown advantage is 2.72. Pretty much like he's gonna get him down on the ground. It's just more of, can he match his strength? Like Greg Hardy's strength. Can he actually like get him down with the size difference and stuff? Because you got to remember too, Greg Hardy played football. He's an NFL player. I'm pretty sure he played defensive line, didn't he?
Yeah.
And stuff. So, I mean, the guy has the ability to brawl and, you know, then especially like sprawl and stuff and get out of situations. But those guys who train mixed martial arts, man, it's a completely different game. You know, like when they get you down, and especially if they're a guy that likes to get you down on the ground, you're in their world now, and they'll just wait you out. Be patient, and they'll make their move. And next thing you know, you're getting a limb snapped off.
Yeah, I mean, like back in the day, Too Tall Jones, who played football, you know, he got destroyed by smaller guys in combat sports, just because they just, you know, they knew they were more technically sound. They were just, like you said, it's a different game, it's a different animal in combat sports. But you know, another really good fight that I'm really excited to see is going to be Edson Barboza and Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell. It's going to be a good fight. I mean, he's ranked number 11, Bryce Mitchell, and Edison's number 10. Of course, the experience is much more on Edison's side, but right now Bryce Mitchell has only lost once, 14-1. So if he can get a win this Saturday, that'd be really big for him in his career, for sure.
He's a really good all-around fighter, though, too. Like, he's not just one guy that focuses on one skill. His significant strikes is 69%. His takedown advantage is 3.26. So, like, the guy can get people down. He can stand. Like, he's a pretty dangerous kid, man. Like,
yeah, and he can submit someone. I don't think Edison will let him get close enough to get him in a position to take him down and submit him, but it would definitely be to Bryce Mitchell's advantage to try and get him to the ground, or at least stay close to him, because Edison does have a 75-inch reach to his 70, so he's not going to be able to play a strike game with him for too long without running into issues and getting popped, basically. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays that. I think if he tries to take him in the clinch and stays close, because it's a lot harder as a fighter. It's a lot harder when you have a longer reach than someone else and they're constantly in your face, because then you can't extend your punches and your strikes as far as you could when they're not at a range anymore. And it could just cause issues, especially when in UFC, you're trying to also make sure that someone doesn't grab you by the legs and take you down, or find a way to get you to the ground. So this should also be a pretty technical match from these two guys. It's going to be a good matchup.
I personally think if Bryce gets him on the ground, it's over, because his like submission advantage is like almost like 2.5. Like, it's kind of crazy that he do what he's doing.
He's submitted more than like half the people that he's fought.
Yeah.
So that it's pretty crazy.
Like, the guy can literally beat you any way he wants. It's pretty scary. Is there anybody else you see interest you? We got some female fighters. Let's see.
Yeah, Marina Rodriguez and Jan, that's going to be a good fight.
That should be a good one.
They are really good fighters. Marina's only 15-1-2, which is really good. She's fighting out of Brazil. Jan she's 13-2. I've seen her fight. Very athletic. Very
She's tough, man.
Very fast strikers. Like, man, it's crazy, because like these girls aren't very big individuals. I mean, they only weigh 126 pounds, 124 pounds, about 5'5", 5'6", but man, they can rumble. Like, go out there, they put out a good show. They're all efforts, they're all in. So it's really going to be a really good fight. There's a lot of strikes. You're going to see a lot of strikes from these two, because that's what they're really good at.
It's kind of one of those things with like the UFC and everything, and like big kudos to the UFC and stuff for like helping promote female fighters and things like that. But I don't know, man. Like, sometimes when I look at these cards and I see like the female fighters on there, I get more excited for some of their fights, because you know they're going to be good fights. And it's kind of like that old like school saying of like, girl fight, fight, fight. You know, like, you get excited to see two girls go at it. But that's the thing. honestly, with girls, like these women, like when they go at it, they go at it. Like
Yeah,
it's none of
they're
this
tough as
like
shit.
passive. I'm gonna kind of feel you out for 2 rounds and stuff. Like once they engage, and it's pretty wild. Some of these fights that I've seen throughout the UFC from the female perspective, and
Yeah.
just how fucking tough they are. Man.
Yeah,
Like,
nothing scares them. Like
gosh,
they train with men too. Like they're sparring with guys, getting on the
yeah,
ground with guys, all that. Like it.
like some of them, bro, like they're beating each other up. They both can barely see, and they just walk out and they just keep on swinging. And it's like, damn, how are none of these going down right now and
Yeah,
stuff? So
absolutely. I will say this about the fight that's coming up. Jan is really good at takedowns.
yeah,
She really has a high accuracy percentage when she takes someone down. So, uh, Rodriguez, Marina, she's decent. She's pretty good at takedown defense. But this is one of those fights kind of similar to what we're talking about with the fellas, Edison and Bryce Mitchell. Jan would be more at an advantage if she can get Marina to the ground and take advantage of her ability with the grappling. She doesn't really submit anyone. I don't think she submitted anyone, but she has been able to do a really good ground and pound game and take some fighters out that way and injure them in that way and to win the fight. So we'll see how it goes, man. I think if anything, it's going to be a good old slugfest. These two really do throw a lot of strikes, and as well as land a lot of strikes, and almost half of them are significant strikes. So that's going to be a slugfest for sure.
yeah, I think overall it'll be a pretty decent card. There's some definitely good matchups here. There's some good competition, but I mean, honestly, that main event is just ridiculous. It's pretty stacked. Pretty pretty good to see.
Yeah, I mean they're both ranked really high in the women's strawweight division, so they're kicking ass, so it's gonna be a furious fight for sure.
Oh yeah,
Because I really think Jan, she's trying to get back to that title status. She's trying to get back up there for sure.
yeah. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Um, we do have the NFL Combine going on right now. NFL Draft's gonna be approaching. Next week we're gonna be doing our bracket fill out. I'm gonna try to get that like set up and figured out on how we can do that. With a college breakdown of March Madness, one of the most watched events throughout the year. Huge. They bring in like billions and billions of dollars every year for March Madness.
Yeah,
Field's pretty solid too this year. There's like some teams that are really good and stand out, like Kansas, UK, Gonzaga. Um, they're all having really good seasons, but they all actually took like a loss this past week. So like a lot of the teams in the top 5 and 10 took a loss in the previous week. So
yeah,
there's a lot of teams that seem like they're kind of middle of the pack, but can definitely like make a run in the tournaments. Hoping it'll be a good year. Man, we've honestly had a pretty good year of sports so far with like the NFL and the way that like transpired in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, college football. Honestly, like towards the end of the season and the way the end of the season was breaking down and how it came down to certain games. Like
yeah,
we've had an exciting year of sports so far. Basketball's been pretty exciting as well. I think NBA, it's kind of closing in, but I don't know, man. Unless the Lakers do something, it's gonna be kudos to those guys this year. They play the Clippers tonight, so we'll see how they go. But they've lost 3 in a row since our last like episode, so it looks like they're just going out there to keep going out there and getting paid. Um,
yeah. The NBA is definitely gonna develop a little bit more within the next week or two. We're gonna start to transition to the
yeah,
playoff mode and have an idea of who's the play-in tournament, who's in the playoffs, who's already seeded. And there's actually some surprising developments coming up as far as like the top 5 teams. We'll see where Phoenix is standing because Chris Paul is still going to be out for a little while. I mean, I don't expect the Suns to drop too far, but I don't expect them to be number 1 either.
I think
We'll see how
Devin
it goes.
Booker's out too, isn't he? I think he's gonna be out for like a game or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. Um, but yeah, I think we're gonna have an exciting basketball playoff season this year. I think you might end up getting a NBA Finals that matchup that we haven't had before instead of how we usually are used to seeing the same or similar teams play each other,
Yeah.
I think we might get a renewed kind of finals. I mean, you got the Bulls out here playing their asses off.
They look good, man. They really do.
Then Miami is the top of the East right now. They're 41-22. They're 8 of the last 10. Philadelphia with James Harden and Joel Embiid they're balling right now too. They're 7-3 of their last 10. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how these playoffs pan out with the teams that are actually doing it right now.
Yeah. So it's gonna be it for us, gang. We greatly appreciate you all. Be sure to check us out on our socials. Be sure to stop by our Twitch, twitch.tv/selfless_gaming, and then twitch.tv/Littl with an E, so Littl3, sorry. Jacob, and Little Jacob usually goes live several times throughout the week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Come hit us up on there. We love talking sports, love just talking, vibing with people in general. You can find me on my Twitter, TikTok, Hover, Instagram, YouTube. Honestly, I respond to pretty much anything that's commented and posted on there. So, well, Jacob, let you close us out, bro.
Hey guys, Little Jacob, Littl3 instead of an E. Also find me on TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook if you'd like to utilize that, as well as YouTube. Feel free to comment or message me. As my buddy here said, I'm more than happy to respond, and I pretty much do everything. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, anything you want to talk about as far as sports goes, I'm available, baby.
Yep.
Everybody take care, be safe, enjoy the weekend, as always.
We'll see you next time. Deuces.
Later.